Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Character Creation Guide. We're gonna cover every single class and every single subclass, including all of the single class options and full info about every single class, as well as all info that you need to know about the multiclassing options. And at the end of this video we're gonna do a classic ranking of best to worst. So let's not waste time and let's go. Before we start with the video, I got a new channel about my cat. It's not a gaming channel, but it's a relaxing channel with a lot of gaming music, so you can chill out while doing something else. So, if you have a daughter, mother, sister, even your mother-in-law, recommend them the channel. They're also gonna like it, as well as if you have cats. It will be something like a cat TV as well. Your cats will have fun too. Thanks up front for subscribing on the new channel. Let's go to the video. We begin from the Barbarian. A no subclass Barbarian is a good option to multiclass with a fighter, Paladin, or a Chanter. Barbarian Berserker is the best option, but it requires a specific multiclass to clear confusion. I don't recommend this one to the new players. This is a good class to multiclass with a fighter. Corpse Eater and Mage Slayer are completely useless as they require specific team compositions in order to work. So this all depends out of the team comp whether they're gonna be successful or not, especially on Pot of the Damned. The last in line would be the Fury Shaper that offers solid option with all of its totems, but it is the weakest subclass of a Barbarian overall. The best that you can play as a flat Barbarian in this case would be a no subclass. Barbarian is a very good class, no matter what subclass you pick, to actually multi-class with other classes. Way much better than to spend all of this ability points into weak passives for tier 8 and tier 9, and also very weak spells for tier 8 and tier 9. So that's why Barbarian is one of the best options for multi-classing. Chanter, a no subclass Chanter, or better to say the base Chanter. You should avoid this option cause all other subclasses are just way much better and they offer more than the flat no subclass Chanter. Beckoner is crazy good summoner class, but it requires single classing cause of tier 9 summons that are extremely OP. So if you plan to play as a Beckoner, you should remain as a single class. This is not a multi-class option. Skald is great class, subclass to combine with a Barbarian. Troubadour is amazing subclass for multi-classing, especially with Paladin auras or fighter stances. Bellower is a great range spell casting offensive Chanter with offensive active abilities, and it's perfect for single classing as well because of some great late game spells. Also, Bellower is very good to combine with Wizard or a Priest. Anyways, this is the most offensive Chanter that you can get. If you also plan to play as a multi-class, Cipher is a good option to consider in combination with a Bellower. Cipher, a no subclass Cipher, is one of the best single classes supports in the game, thriving on dominate, charming enemies, and of course giving allies plenty of buffs like penetration or to refresh spells with brilliance. Ascendant is absolutely great option for both multi-class and single class. It combines extremely well with a rogue or a wizard while you multi-class. Peculiar Cipher is best to multi-class with a priest. This subclass thrives on debuffing enemies and it's solid as a single class as well. One of the best options that you can take as a multi-classing on Peculiar would be, of course, the rogue. Classic assassin rogue or a trickster. Soul Blade is great as a single class melee Cipher, a raw damage dealer, or in a multi-class combination with, of course, Rogue for extra raw damage. Psion, perfect to multi-class with Wizard or a Ranger. Beginners should avoid this subclass cause it's quite hard to master it. Druid. Animist is the base, no subclass version of the Druid, and it's by far the most user-friendly single class only subclass. Fury is by far the strongest Druid subclass and probably the strongest subclass in the game as far as single class builds go. Reason is very simple. This is a pure DPS caster Druid, huge area of effect annihilator that deletes the entire screen with his huge area of effect spells. Life Giver is a healer Druid. You can easily ignore this subclass cause priests do those healings and buffs way much better than a Druid, so I don't recommend for multiclass or for a single class. Shifter Druid is a classic melee Druid that shifts into 5 different animals per combat, great to multiclass with a fighter, rogue, paladin or a barbarian for some extra combat passives. And then, when you transmute into some other animal, you're gonna be even stronger. Ancient Druid is a summoner Druid, great for those that like to summon stuff. Stay in a single class option for this subclass to actually work, because those late game summons are just way too good to skip. Fighter, a new subclass fighter you should avoid, cause it's just inferior to all other subclasses of a fighter. Black Jacket subclass on a fighter is only good when multiclassing with Barbarian, but I advise to avoid this subclass as well. Devoted Fighter is a top tier option for Path of the Damned difficulty, extremely strong to multiclass with Barbarian, Paladin, Rogue, Chanter or even a Monk or a Wizard, one of the best melee subclasses in the game by far. Unbroken Fighter is the best tank subclass in a game. It goes extremely well with a Paladin, a Rogue, Fighter and a Chanter. Unbroken Fighter is a best tank subclass in a game, the tankiest one that exists. It goes extremely well with a Paladin, a Rogue or a Chanter. Tactician Fighter subclass is best when used in combination with a Wizard, the so-called Battle Mage. Monk, a no subclass Monk is inferior to all subclasses of a Monk, so only consider taking this if you are to multiclass the Monk with Ranger, Rogue or a Fighter. Hellwalker Monk subclass is a great late game option, but he is very weak at the start because of the increased damage taken penalty, so it's very good to multiclass later on with a Wizard. Nalpazgad Monk is a drug monk. You need to be under the constant effect of drugs and consumables, and it requires a lot of micromanagement, so better skip this one out if you're a beginner. If you know the game and you remain in a single class Nalpazga and you spam those consumables, you're gonna have one of the strongest subclasses in the game as far as single classing goes. Basically, you're gonna one-shot everything with inner death. Shattered Pillar, in theory, is great, but it doesn't show that well in combat cause somehow you don't generate wounds as fast as when you deal damage compared when receiving damage, so skip this one out cause it's broken. In a bad way broke. Forbidden Fist is great for multiclassing, especially with Wizard or a Priest. Paladin. First of all Paladin subclasses are great to multiclass with other classes, and that's a fact. No matter what you pick, Fighter, Chanter, Barb, Ranger, Rogue, Priest, Paladin will merge extremely well with absolutely everything in the game. Bleakwalkers. They're flat bruisers and probably the best subclass for a single class option on a Paladin. It merges well with Rogue if you decide to multiclass. Darkosi Paladini is best when merged with a Priest or a Druid cause this is a support Paladin subclass. You can also play this one as ranged. Goldpack Knights are the tankiest bruisers in the game. They merge extremely well with a Fighter or a Monk. Kind Wayfarers are there as offensive supports and they can merge well with a Chanter. Shield Bearers of St. Elsga is a full tank Paladin subclass and it's best when merged with a Fighter, especially with the Unbroken Fighter. At the end we got a Steel Garrote. Steel Garrote is a classic bruiser Paladin that merges well with Barbarian, Fighter and a Ranger. This is the offensive Paladin and it thrives on paralyzing enemies. Priest. Priest is a best class in a game and one of the classes that's at its best when played as a single class only. If you decide to multiclass Priest, you will lose some crazy good spells on tier 8 and tier 9. Priest of Berat is all around good subclass that thrives on buffing allies and debuffing enemies. Priest of Eotheas is great for buffing allies with revivals, healing, and some fire damage to top it all off. Priest of Maegran is there to deal fire damage only. It's good on a melee priest or a ranged priest, and this is the highest DPS AoE priest subclass, or should I say an offensive priest. It works similar to the evocationist wizard. Priest of Scan is actually a rogue priest, probably the weakest subclass for a priest in a game. You could consider merging this one with a rogue if you wanna reap benefits. Priest of Veil is a mini wizard that thrives on debuffing enemies and huge crowd control. You could consider merging this one with a wizard. Priest of Boudica is a mix of all priest subclasses merged into one, and I would not recommend playing as a Priest of Boudica unless you wanna play as an extremely evil character. Ranger. A no subclass Ranger is a classic right-click, boring ranged DPS character. Ghostheart subclass of a Ranger is a selfish Ranger, or should I say an even easier version of a no subclass Ranger, since you don't have to pay attention to your animal companion at all, considering it counts as a spammable summon now and not as a classic unit. Sharpshooter Ranger is by far the best subclass on a Ranger. This is a flat DPS ranged monster and the best range class in a game, by far the biggest DPS. Stalker Ranger is a melee ranger, and it's perfect to mix with a rogue, Cipher, fighter, barbarian, or a monk. Arcane Archer is a mini wizard ranger with solid DPS. You can also multiclass this one with a wizard. Rogue. A no subclass rogue is only good when multiclassing with other subclasses. Do not play this one as a single class. Good options to multiclass are absolutely all classes in the game. It's best when combined with melee classes though, like fighter, paladin, monk, or a barbarian. Assassin Rogue is crazy good, but you need to remain in a single class option to maximize invisibility potential and some huge backstabs. Street Fighter Rogue is the easiest one to play. Tons of great passives, and then you merge with tons of great passives from the fighter, paladin, or a barb, and it's GG. Very strong class, best to be played as a flat bruiser. Trickster Rogue is by far the most useful rogue in the game, cause it acts like a mini wizard and it offers bunch of defensive spells to help you out and to confuse enemies. Rogues are very squishy, and this subclass is not squishy at all. Debonair is a ranged rogue, best to be played as a ranged. You can play as a melee as well, of course, and it merges extremely well with a Chanter or a ranger. Wizard. A no subclass wizard is a classic best all-around caster in the game that merges extremely well with all classes, but best to be used as a single class. Why? The reason is very simple. He covers absolutely all spells in a game for a wizard without the specific school training, and you can go with a bunch of crowd control, self buffs, area of effect, summon, and single target damage spells all at once. So this is the most user-friendly wizard, great for the beginners. Conjurer would be a summoner wizard, and he's great as a single class or in a combination with a Chanter or a Druid summoner. And then you just spam summons. The Enchanter Wizard is a buffer, best to combine this subclass with a fighter, barbarian, or a paladin and become a battle mage. Evoker is the strongest wizard subclass and one of the strongest classes in the entire game. It's on the same line as the Fury Storm Druid. That's the damage output on this Evoker wizard. Absolutely hilarious damage, huge area of effect, not to mention that he can do double damage as an Evoker from one single spell. Illusionist Wizard is best when combined with a Ranger or a Rogue. Transmuter is a shape-shifting wizard that also excels on poison and corrode damage with some very good AoE spells. This would be a poisonous wizard, and then once you exploit all of your spells, you transmute into an ogre and go in melee. A very tanky wizard. Blood Mage is a mega late game wizard and it's not recommended for beginners. Also, he's great to multiclass with Druid or a Cipher. This wizard thrives on increased power level and it also requires specific consumables to scale properly. This is only for people that have a lot of experience in a game and those that know how to increase the power level and one-shot everything that exists. But it is not user-friendly at all. What should we play, single class or a multi-class? Let's rank single classes first and see what's best to worst. On spot number 1 we got Priest of Aeotis. Absolutely the best freaking single class that you can play on. There is no playing without a priest. On spot number 2 we have a Cipher. Any subclass of a Cipher will suffice. The reason is very simple, there is no playing without a Cipher at a mega late game, cause spells are just way too good to skip and you can easily skip Cipher until tier 6. Once you're tier 7 and beyond, so 8, 9, you gotta start playing with a Cipher in your team cause you're just way too freaking good with the spells. Number 3 would be a Paladin. Any subclass of a Paladin. Passive auras and good tankiness for a Paladin. Best to use as a Bleak Walker for a single class option. On spot number 4 we have Druid and of course we have a Fury Druid. Fury Druid is straight up nuts area of effect DPS, probably the most fun build that you can play as a single class. On spot number 5 we got Wizard Evoker. Same what I said about the Druid I can say about the Wizard here. Fury Druid or Evoker Wizard, it doesn't matter, combine them both into the same team, you're gonna have the entire screen in sparkles. Crazy good class. A lot of DPS, a lot of AoE on the Evoker Wizard. On spot number 6 we have a Chanter with a Bellower subclass. It's an all-around great offensive support and an entire team can benefit a lot out of a Bellower. On spot number 7 we have a Monk and in this case a Hellwalker. This is a late game one-shot monster. On spot number 8 we have a Fighter. And it's a dead race between Devoted and Unbroken, but I would say the Devoted is way much better with multiclassing as well as the Unbroken, but we are rating single classes now and that's why the Fighter is a low tier. Fighter is one of the best classes in the game when you decide to multiclass. As far as the single class goes, spot number 8 goes to the Unbroken for flat up tanking. On spot number 9 we got Rogue Assassin. Or should I say Assassin or a Trickster. It doesn't matter which one you pick here on spot number 9. They require huge game knowledge and proper positioning to be played the right way. And that's why I gave it a lower spot, because it requires some skill from the player so you remain alive during combat. In other words, this is also extremely powerful class as far as the DPS goes as a single class. Spot number 10 we have a Ranger and of course it's a Sharpshooter Ranger. A boring huge DPS ranged class. Why put it on spot number 10? The reason is very simple, it requires zero brain to play this, just remain behind your tank and right click on enemies. The worst class in a game as a single class would be a Barbarian. No matter what subclass you pick, in this case we're gonna take a Fury Shaper because of the wards as the best single class option, but I gotta stress it out again. Even though I consider Barbarian the worst single class in a game, I also consider Barbarian one of the best multi-classing options in the game because the passives are just great at the start and then it falls off later on. So multi-classing options, no matter what you pick, you require a lot of good early passives when you wanna multi-class, and that's how you pick what you wanna play base. Anyways, Barbarian is on spot number 11 and the worst single class in a game by far. As far as multi-classing goes, I don't wanna rank anything here because there's like 3000 options and it would be ungrateful to do so. I'll just give some great and fun multi-classing options that I would play on pot of the damn difficulty. I don't say that there's worse or better than what I'm gonna give, I'm just saying this is what I would play. And again, I don't want to rank them. There are no spots at all this time because it's completely ungrateful. The first multi-class option that I would play would be a gold pack Paladin combined with Fighter Devoted. This is a great Crusader option, and this is a offensive Crusader. The second thing that I would also play would be a Paladin, but this time it's gonna be the Shield Bearer of St. Elsga in combination with Fighter again. So now we have Crusader, but this time we're gonna pick the Unbroken Crusader, and this is a completely defensive Crusader in comparison to the first Crusader that was fully offensive, so pick which one you like more. For my third option, I would go with a Troubadour Chanter in combination with a Paladin, and we're gonna take a Kind Wayfarer Paladin. This Herald class is absolutely great at multiple things in the game, including 1 million auras for the entire team non-stop. For the next option, we can use a fighter. We're gonna pick a tactician fighter, and we're gonna merge him with a wizard, and we're gonna become a battle mage. What we wanna take is the enchanter wizard, because we want to have all of those beautiful self buffs, and that's how you get one of the strongest battle mages in the game. For the next option, we're gonna pick a melee ranger, so we're gonna pick a ranger with a stalker subclass, and we're going to merge the ranger with a rogue, and we're gonna become a scout. For a rogue, we're gonna merge with the assassin subclass. Scout has an absolutely hilarious single target damage. The next one that I would play would be a Barbarian Berserker in a combination with a Devoted Fighter, and we become a Brute. Just pick Devoted. What it offers one weapon only with hilarious crits on this Brute. As the next option, I could also consider playing a wizard as a conjurer, so a summoner wizard, in a combination with a summoner chanter, where you become a lore master. So for the chanter, we're gonna pick Bellower Chanter and combine him with a wizard, conjurer. As the next option, if I'm to play a monk, I would pick a Forbidden Fist monk, and I would combine that monk with a priest, contemplative, and I would pick Priest of Scan for this monk. For the next option, we can take a Cipher. We're gonna pick a Soulblade Cipher, and we're gonna combine the Soulblade Cipher with a Rogue, and we're gonna become a Mind Stalker. Also, the Rogue subclass will be, of course, a Trickster. For the final option I'm gonna give for the game would be a Cipher Psion in a combination with a Wizard, Hierophant, and guess what we're gonna pick? A Blood Mage. Extremely high power level on this multiclass. This is like crazy good, but it requires a lot of game knowledge. I only gave 10 options for the multiclassing. Have in mind that there are many more. You can create something on your own as well from the info I gave about all subclasses in this video. Let me know what you play, what's your favorite multiclass, and I would like to hear different opinions, because there is not enough time on this world to test all the multiclasses. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.